Could Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest players in tennis history, be on the verge of a shocking rankings drop? With the 2024 season coming to a close and new challengers emerging, Djokovic's reign at the top could be under serious threat. Today, we're breaking down the reasons behind this potential shakeup, what it means for his legacy, and what Djokovic needs to do to stay in the game. Stay tuned. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep up with all the latest in the world of tennis. Novak Djokovic has made it clear that he will no longer prioritize ATP ranking points in the final chapters of his tennis career, but could fall an alarming slide in the final weeks of 2024 unless he finds his best form once again. The 24-time Grand Slam champion is currently at number 9 in the ATP race and needs to get into the top 8 to qualify for the lucrative ATP Finals in Turin in November. But he made it clear that is not his priority after playing for Serbia in the Davis Cup. Yet he has insisted he will not go chasing ranking points, even though he has confirmed he plans to travel to China to play in the Shanghai Masters next month. Torino is not my goal at all. To be honest, I am not chasing ATP finals. I am not chasing the rankings, he told reporters in Serbia last weekend. As far as I am concerned, I am done with those tournaments for my career. Whether I will play in other tournaments this year or in the future, I can't say right now. My main priorities are playing for Serbia and slams. Everything else is less important. Djokovic is set to play exhibition events in Saudi Arabia and Argentina over the next few weeks, and he has also confirmed he will play the ATP 1000 event in Shanghai. After that Shanghai, I'm going to see what I'm going to do, Djokovic added. Usually in my career, I used to have my schedule ready 6 months in advance, but nowadays that's not the case. Now it's more spontaneous. Historically, rankings have always been tied to a player's legacy. Djokovic has spent more weeks as world number 1 than any other player, surpassing both Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. A significant drop from the top could start a conversation about whether Djokovic's era of dominance is ending. Would this rankings drop diminish his status in comparison to Federer and Nadal, or is his legacy already cemented regardless of rankings? For over a decade, Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal have dominated the tennis landscape, creating the Big Three narrative. Federer has retired. Nadal is facing the twilight of his career, and Djokovic's rankings drop could symbolize the final chapter of this era. Is tennis officially transitioning to the era of players like Alcaraz, Sinner, and Medvedev? Djokovic has always been known for his mental toughness and ability to bounce back from adversity. A significant rankings drop could either mark the decline of his dominance, or it could fuel another comeback. You could frame it as, is this just another obstacle for Djokovic to overcome? Or is this truly the beginning of the end? Mention past instances where Djokovic has bounced back, such as his resurgence after elbow surgery or his comeback in 2018 after a slump. The Grand Slam race between Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer has defined much of their legacies. With Federer retired and Nadal potentially nearing the end, Djokovic has the most realistic chance to end his career with the most Grand Slam titles. However, a rankings drop could make it harder for him to stay competitive in upcoming Grand Slams, jeopardizing his chance to extend his lead. Will Djokovic's slip in rankings affect his ability to win more Grand Slams, especially with younger players rising? Djokovic's career has been defined by breaking records, from his weeks at world number 1 to winning all 4 Grand Slams at least twice. A rankings drop could slow down his pace of breaking even more records, like winning more ATP Masters titles or achieving more year-end number 1 finishes. How much would a dip in form impact his pursuit of being considered the greatest of all time? Ultimately, Djokovic's legacy is more than just rankings and titles. His role in shaping modern tennis, his mental resilience, and his versatility on every surface have already secured his place in tennis history. You can explore whether a rankings drop at this stage of his career would truly tarnish his legacy, or if his influence on the sport transcends numbers and statistics. Firstly, I need to physically, emotionally, and mentally rest in order to even start thinking what I want to do next, in what way, how much, and where. Djokovic only has ranking points from 2 tournaments, dropping off his current ranking in the final weeks of this year. But his success in the final weeks of last year means he is defending 2,300 ranking points at the Paris Masters and the ATP Finals in Turin. If he doesn't perform well in Shanghai or Paris this year, he could miss out on qualification for the ATP Finals, and that could see a bulk of those 2,300 ranking points drop off his total. That could see Djokovic tumble out of the top 10 of the final ATP rankings for 2024, and while that may not be a major concern for a player who has won it all time and again, it could be an issue heading into the new year. Djokovic may only be focusing on trying to win more Grand Slam titles and playing for his beloved Serbia, but a ranking outside the top 10 could make the first of those tasks tough. Jannik Sinner looks set to be world number 1 heading into the Australian Open in January, and he could also have Carlos Alcaraz in his half of the draw if he stays in his current position at number 3. That could serve up the prospect of Djokovic playing Sinner or Alcaraz in the last 16 at the Australian Open, with a last 8 clash also a possibility. With Djokovic playing fewer tournaments, he may need to use the early rounds of Grand Slam events to get himself into form, and that task would not be helped by a clash with Sinner or Alcaraz in only his 4th match in Melbourne. Djokovic's ranking is certain to fall further if he follows through on his plan not to compete in too many